Hi everybody, welcome to our virtual SWUG on our CAM Mini-Series. We're going to explore the setup process of SOLIDWORKS CAM today. A little bit about me. My name is Andrea. I'm a mechanical designer here at InterLink Engineering. I've been here for about 5 years. I have SOLIDWORKS experience for about 6 years. Here at InterLink, we do prototyping, reverse engineering, create parts for injection molding. We also do machining, as we have our own CNC machine here in-house. I have some experience with Mastercam programming, as well as operating CNC machinery. Currently learning how to do SOLIDWORKS CAM, so I will be sharing what I've learned so far on the setup of SOLIDWORKS CAM. So what is CAM? CAM is a computer-aided manufacturing software that we use to transform part models into a set of instructions that is then read by a machine that we then manufacture the part that we designed. The importance of CAM in modern manufacturing is that it boosts operational productivity, minimizes manual errors, it improves consistency and quality of your parts, as well as you can do very intricate part designs, as well as optimize your workflow processes. Manual machining can be just as accurate, but it does involve a machinist to do all the proper setup every time they run a part and have to be very consistent on their setups. With CAM, we take time to create a program, but once it's created and proofed out, we can run multiple parts very quickly, and it runs by itself. You could leave it unattended, check on it once in a while, and have the same consistency throughout every single part. In case you didn't know, all SOLIDWORKS licenses have standard CAM included. So if you have a standard, professional, or premium SOLIDWORKS license, most likely you do have standard CAM included. If you have a SOLIDWORKS cloud-based account like the Makers Edition, it doesn't have CAM, unfortunately. The SOLIDWORKS CAM standard lets you quickly program any milled parts and configurations without ever having to leave the SOLIDWORKS software. You have access to multiple machining features and as well as tolerance-based machining. If you would like some extra features like high-speed machining, configuration machining, assembly machining, that is all included in a CAM Professional license. You would have to upgrade from standard to professional. You could also do turning and program fourth and fifth access machines. If you do not do a lot of SOLIDWORKS modeling, you could purchase a machinist standard license, which does basic part modeling. Doesn't include like drawings, assemblies, but it's mostly focusing on the CAM part of the program. Same thing with the machinist professional. It allows you to do assembly machining versus just part machining, and a little bit more capabilities than the original standard machinist program. Now, the benefits of using SOLIDWORKS CAM is that you could use SOLIDWORKS for both your modeling and for your programming. So you could model, create your assemblies, and then program that part in the same software. No need to export and then import it into another software. And as well as when you update your part, it also updates your programming right there in the software. So you don't have to re-import it as if you were to do it in a different program. SOLIDWORKS CAM also has automated toolpath generation. So the software will analyze the model and create tool paths automatically, which then you can edit and modify if you like. It also has the capability of doing customizable machining strategies. This allows you to set rules for when it does automation toolpath generation. So if there's certain features that you like to do with certain specific speeds and feeds or tooling, you can set up those rules. So when it does the automated toolpath, it'll follow those rules that you have set in place and create toolpaths according to those rules you made. And then it makes it easy to work with the team, because once you create a database of tools and your machines, all you have to do is share the folder location, and your teammates could use those same databases to work in SOLIDWORKS CAM without having to re-input all the information. So I'm going to go over how to activate the CAM add-in in your SOLIDWORKS, as well as how to configure your machine settings, as well as add your own machine, and then how to set up your tool library. Let me open up SOLIDWORKS. Okay. So right now I'm going to open a brand new file. To add in your master cam, you have to go up to this little gear at the very top, your options, the drop down, and go to add in. Down at SOLIDWORKS add-ins, you'll see SOLIDWORKS CAM. You'll check this box. If you want SOLIDWORKS CAM to always start up when you open SOLIDWORKS, you could check this startup box on this side, and it'll always be available every time you open up SOLIDWORKS. So I'll hit OK. Once it loads, you'll see these two new tabs at the top. SOLIDWORKS CAM tab has all your toolpath generation, feature tools, the majority of your commands that you're going to be using. This other one here is strictly tolerance-based machining features here. You also notice in the feature tree, you have 3 new tabs, which will identify your machine, your stock, and your coordinate system, as well as this is where your toolpaths will appear once generated. And you also have the tools currently set to this machine. Now, SOLIDWORKS will have a default to a machine mill, and it'll either say metric or inch depending on what your units are set to. So ours is an inch machine, so we're going to go down to the right to change it to inch first. Now to change our machine, you can either right click and hit edit definition or double click on it, and you'll get this little machine menu up. And here will be the list of machines available to select from. These are all the SOLIDWORKS default machines. So let's see, you can see mill inch here. We're going to select that machine. The ones that are grayed out are turning 4th axis and 5th axis. Those become available if upgraded to the premium version. So we'll just do the mill for now. And that will update over here on your left in the feature tree. You should now see mill inch. Now for tool cribs. Tool cribs are basically what is in the machine, the tools that are in your machine. So by default, SOLIDWORKS has this list for a mill machine that has 20 stations. If you look here in the middle where it says available tool cribs, depending on which one you select, it'll tell you the name and the number of stations. So that's the number of tools that can be loaded into the machine. Currently in this tool crib, if we scroll down to the bottom, there's 18 tools loaded. So when you generate your tool path, these would be the tools you would select from to machine. Now, if you need to change these tools, depending on what you're machining, you can either update your current tool crib or you can just make a new one. So if we select here an empty one, there's no tools in here so far. So to add a tool, we'll go to this add tool button and you get this little menu. And here at the bottom is all the tools you can select from. So if we're looking, for example, a drill, and then we want a specific diameter, so no bigger than 1/2 inch. Okay, so right here it's going to show me everything 0 to 1/2 inch drills. I can further filter if I want to, or I can scroll through to see what drills are available. So for example, if I were to select here, this is a 1/2 inch drill, and it has all the information like effective cut length, overall length, the number of flutes, whether if it's a left hand or right hand cut, your tip length, the material. So I'm going to use this one right here, and we're just going to hit OK, and it is now added to our tool crib. It automatically assigns it in order. So right now it's at station number 1. But if I have it in station, for example, number 5, pocket 5, I select the tool and go to edit tool, and I'm going to hit station. And right now it's at 1. So we need to change that to 5 and hit OK. And so now it should be in station number 5. Now let's say you do not have the tool you need in the tool library and you need to add a new tool. We can go down to new tool and select the type of tool that you need. And you would just fill out all the information about the tool here. And then here in the comment, we're gonna do just SWUG tool 1 to identify it properly. And we'll hit OK. And you can see here that it has now been added to our tool crib. If you want to save that tool, that is just going to be for this program. If you want to save that tool into your library, you would select it and just hit save tool, and it's going to tell you, it's going to give you a warning saying it's going to create a new tool in your database. So I'm going to add it to my database, so the next time I create another program, that tool is able to be selectable.
Andrea, is it possible to change the tool material?
Yes.
I don't know if you'll cover this.
Yeah, so anything, so let me add a third tool just so we can mess with it. Okay. So if you want to edit a tool, you select the tool you want to edit, go to edit tool, and you can change any parameters about that tool. Even, oh no, you cannot change on this one. I think this one's specifically to that tool. Weird. Okay, I think it's specifically to the tool then. Yeah, so I guess we cannot change the tool material on this one. I would have to dig a little deeper on that one.
Kelly says, you think you have to do that in the tech database? Something we can dive into later if you don't have time today.
Most likely. Yeah, it looks like it only allows me to edit the dimensions and specific things on this window. Yeah, so once you edit here, you can save it here and it won't affect the database. If you want it to affect the database, you would have to save that tool, just like we did to the new one where you would go here and save tool, and it'll either say add as a new tool or you can change it, which will update that current tool. Now we want to save this tool crib. I'm going to hit save here and we'll name it If you haven't saved anything already, as in new tools or updated tools, you can select these and it'll automatically add or update your tool database. So we hit save, and now we have our tool crib to select from, which we'll hit select. And OK, and this should now appear in your feature tree. So see, now it says SWUG, I was supposed to say tool crib, I misspelled tool. But now it should show the tool crib that we made. Now we're going to go back into that menu. And we're going to go through post processor. Post processor is the way it is outputted in the G code. So different machinery uses slightly different G code language. So SOLIDWORKS CAM already has a few over here preloaded. If yours isn't, you would have to find that file to add to it. But for example, here in-house we have a Haas. So we would select this one and it'll output it to the Haas G code. So if you would click on it and you would select, it should now change your active processor at the top. Posting, I always do post processor. It's defined by whatever you're outputting it to. If you want it specific to your tools, you can select that if you want. Nothing to change here. Rotary axis and tilt axis, these two tabs are for the premium cam for setting up your turning on your 4th and 5th axis machines. Now, if you want to add your machine, we would have to go to Technology Database, which is over here at the top right. You click on Technology Database, and you will go to Mill, and right here is the current machines that are on here. So if we want to add a machine, I'm just going to copy one. So I'll copy this one. I want this to be my default machine from now on. So every time I open SOLIDWORKS CAM, it's going to select this machine. And we're going to call it, put a name on it. And then you can, from here, you can choose the post processor you want. So you don't have to do it from that little menu every single time. Type of machine duty. These default feature strategies, you'll have to choose from once you set up your rules that you want. And you would just go through here and update the specifications according to your machine. So like horsepower, max feed rates, your acceleration. So let's change this here, 800. Table travel, the type of tool changer that it has. You can also select which tool crib it'll choose from, like it'll default to. You go through here. If you need to change the number of tools, we would have to go back to a tool crib. So I'll show you guys that right now. So once you go through and update all your specifications to your machine, you just hit save. And now this machine is in here. So if I were to go here and double click and go to machine, we can now see our new machine available and select it. Click here, select here. And it'll automatically choose the tool crib that we had created. And so So back to technology database. You can also edit your tool cribs here. So we'll go here, go up to edit, and let's fix the name. And then you can choose how many stations. So let's say we want to do 30. You can also add more stations that way your machine actually has. That way you can have all these tools in your tool crib, and you can just change the station number to whatever pocket it is in. So you don't have to keep searching up certain tools every single time you want to update it. And here it'll show you your tools here listed out. And you can also add your tools here. You can select here. So if we were to, let's make a copy of this one. And we can modify this to be, let's see, flatten. And then you just hit save. Oh, it did not like it. Not sure why it doesn't like it. Let's delete it. Okay. Now, if you want to add a tool, I'm pretty sure you can go in here. Yep, right here is where you can select the tool material of your tool. So you can select your specifications or make a copy of it if you do not want to overwrite that tool. And change here. You can even
Yeah, it
change your
looks
tool
like you can
material
also
here.
change the material there,
Yeah.
as Kelly pointed out.
Yeah, so we would just hit save and that should now update to this whole row to whatever you change it to. So you could add in your tools all manually, but you could also import tools. I currently don't have a tool database. I'm hoping to make one, and hopefully next time I can show you guys how to import your own tool database if you already have one, so you don't have to manually input it every single, like not every single time. Input it to set up your whole database, which is going to be a lot of tools if you do a lot of machining. You could also import any machining databases as well as your machine. If you do not want to put it in manually, you should be able to import it from this settings page here. Okay, this. So that is the basic setup into our CAM setup. Yeah, I think that's everything on the tool database. Does anybody have any questions here on the SOLIDWORKS CAM that I could go through?
Seems like there are a couple of people who've been adding some comments who maybe have a little bit more experience than this one will cover. Wonder if there are any extra tips or comments that recommendations, anything like that. Also, something we can all share and learn from.
Yeah. One thing I'll mention also with the different tool cribs, one way we use that, right now we primarily use Mastercam, but part of why we wanted to go through this is as Andrea becomes our sort of go-to, she's growing her skills in the SOLIDWORKS CAM. Um, we want this to be a series that's kind of like as she's learning, she's showing us everything, and becoming an expert in the program. But anyway, one of the things we do in Mastercam, and actually I think this will be useful, is the tool cribs. We can set up a different tool crib for whether we're running like stainless aluminum or plastics, because we have standard kind of layout where we put our tools for different things. So I don't know if we really touched on why you might set up different tool cribs for that way. Obviously, you have totally different machines and different things like that. That may be another reason to have a different tool crib. But I think one thing we do is like pre-build tool crib layouts for depending on which material we're machining that day or that that moment. So it's an easy way to be like, here's my general layout where I put all my tools for when I'm running these different materials. So anyway.
Yeah, so yeah, that'd be easy to choose from here when you need to choose a different tool crib. So once you have all your tool cribs set up, and if you were to like assign them like aluminum, stainless, you could just select it and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a lot of times, generally, we have pockets that we always use for certain tools, and we're doing that material. So it's an easy swap then for getting your program running. Definitely.
Kelly asks if it will read off of the model material wise.
That would have to do with like the rule setup. So I'm gonna dig into that a little bit more later on. So you should be able to assign that when a certain material is put in, it'll assign certain tooling to it. So like if you see the feature tree right now, it's set to 6061 aluminum. So I'm hoping that once we set up rules and it does the automation toolpaths, it should be able to read that stock. So, any more questions before I wrap up?
Yeah, Cam or otherwise.
Hopefully the next one we'll be able to show how to set up the stock material and start working on that coordinates and selecting the tool cribs properly to your material.